housing all set, all torqued. Everything is all torqued in, and we're ready to start valves. Now I still have my timing pin set into the flywheel. I showed that to you guys earlier. So we are at TDC 1 and also TDC 6. We just have to figure out, okay, which one are we at? Because you gotta. I've never done a dual overhead cam on a Freightliner like this. You know, that doesn't really matter. I mean, all I gotta do is just read the manual, read the book, and figure out what they need to be set at in a procedure form. And I've done a bunch of the older Macs. I've done tons of those things, and I have done my Freightliner ones. But it's pretty simple. You just have to just sit down and figure it out. But we have our timing pin set in a way that we can figure out, because you're going to have 2 cycles. You're going to have 2 strokes on this thing. You're going to have one pass and then a second pass. The way to figure it out is to look and see which valves are being depressed. So these springs back here on these exhaust valves are actually being depressed. They're actually being pushed down. So we know that it's not there. So the valves up in the front, these are actually loose. So we're going to start on 1. Okay. Things that you're going to need to do this is some kind of paint pen. You just need a paint pen, basically just to mark that you have completed them. You're going to need yourself a 6mm Allen wrench. You can use a Allen wrench you want to. I use this T-handle, it's just so you get a little more grip on it and everything. And you're going to need a 17mm wrench to adjust these and to loosen them. Loosen these nuts. You can also use a 17mm socket and a ratchet to help loosen. It's a little bit easier to wrench sometimes. It's not the greatest. But then you're also going to need a torque wrench too, because once you do get these adjusted, you're going to have to torque these down, and these nuts get torqued back to 37 foot-pounds of torque. So we know that we're at top dead center for 1 and 6. We just have to figure out which one we're starting with. Doesn't really matter. You can do it in either way, backwards, forwards, whatever. So we know that we're starting with 1 because 1 is loose. So exhaust is going to be 6mm, and or it's a .24, 0.024 thousandths or whatever, and that's your bigger one. And these are just simple feeler gauges. You don't have to have no sophisticated nothing, but you can kind of check to see. And we're able to get them in, but they're a little bit tight. You can't get them all the way in. Real close. Really close, actually. It's not bad. It's actually not bad at all. Actually not bad at all. So this one really is not going to need a lot of adjustment. The intake is 4mm or a .016, and that one there, yeah, this one's too tight. This one actually I can get it in. So one is okay, one's pretty close, and the other one's not. So to adjust it, it's real simple. Basically just going to loosen the nut, and then we're just going to, you can just put the Allen deal inside here. It's got a little set screw. You just back it off. We're doing it, the exhaust is on the passenger side, intake is on the driver's side. We're going with our 6,000ths, and the main thing about this is when you do this is to put it in there and you kind of slip it back and forth. Okay, so that's way loose. Okay, you can see how it's way loose. So we kind of just move it back and forth. And what we want to do is we want to have the same amount for all of them. So basically you just want to, you can adjust it however you want to. But you just want to have the same amount of slip that you do on all of them. So if this one is, see, that's like right there. That's where I want to adjust it. Now we just hold our Allen wrench. Tighten the nut up. Okay, it's a little bit loose. Just a little bit more. There we go. That's where I want it, right there. Nice and snug. And you just want to have that same feel as you go down and progress through and adjust them. So that's where I'm going to have that one. Did I loosen this one? No. It's easier with a ratchet. The nuts are kind of a booger with the wrench. So we're going to do the same thing over here in this one. Get this wrench out of my hand. Get a phone call. Ooh, this is the second notice that your warranty on your vehicle may have expired. On my 2002, is that what you're saying? You guys know about that. I hate that stuff. So, you know, you just take your time and you want to get that same feel. That's all we're doing. It's just making it the same all the way down. You know, but we're using a 6mm. Right there's where I want it. Okay. Now I am going to torque this one. Torque these two. I'm going to check it again. Yep. Good there. Yep, we're good. Okay, so now I know that the exhaust is done on number 1. So basically, I'm just going to put a mark on here. And I know those two are done. Now on this rotation, there's a pattern that you follow. So now we can do number 1, we can do the number 1 intake also. So, I gotta switch back the socket. And just loosen them up. Easier. So now we're gonna get our 4mm. We're at 0.016. And we're gonna slip that right up inside there. And we're looking for that same feel, the same. You just want to have it so it actually just moves freely, but it's not loose. You know what I mean? What do? Just take your time with it. It'll be fine. Get paid by the hour, right? I think I do. I don't know what I get paid by. Okay. A little bit tighter. That's too tight. There we go. We'll do this one. Loose. Just a tiny bit tight. That's better. Okay. I'm going to torque those down. I think that one moved. I think it tightened on me. No? Okay, that's good. Nope, we're good. So now what did I do with my pen? Where did you guys put my pen? Oh, here it is. So now number 1 is done. Intake. So intake and exhaust are done. Okay? So now we're going to move down. And the pattern that we're going to move down is that now I will be doing number 2 intake. This is number 2 cylinder. But I will not be doing number 2 exhaust. Then I will not be doing number 3 intake, but I will do number 3 exhaust. I'll do number 4 intake, won't do 4 exhaust. Number 5 intake does not get done. Number 5 exhaust gets done, and number 6 does not get done. That is the pattern that we go into. This is a first revolution. It's a cycle. It's a revolution. So I'm going to go through and do this, and I'm going to finish up the rest of these here on this one, and then I'll bring you guys back. All right, guys, we got her all done. So once again, to go over this pattern here, you got to figure out what stroke you're on. These valves here are depressed, so that we know that we're on this stroke here. So we start with number 1. We did that. You can tell by just going like that and seeing if they're loose. So we did number 1 intake and exhaust. Then we did number 2 intake, number 3 exhaust, number 4 intake, number 5 exhaust. So now what we're going to do, and here I'll show it to you guys. You can see they've been all torqued and everything. Once they've been torqued, I put a little paint marker on there. So both number 1s, boom, boom. Okay, so those are all done. And now what I got to do is go down, remove the timing pin, and then I have to bar the engine over 1 full revolution to do top dead center again. And then these valves will be depressed, and those will be up on number 6. And then I can go and do it the other way. And then basically what I'll do is I'll go back and number 2 exhaust will be done, number 3 intake, number 4 exhaust, number 5 intake, and then both intake and exhaust on number 6. All right, so now we're underneath here. So first thing we're going to do is remove our timing pin. Put that to the side for now. And then we can start just barring the motor over. And so you can see all the crank moving, pistons all moving over and stuff. and we just want to do ourselves a full revolution. So we're going to be doing that. Alright guys, we are barring over the engine. We're getting pretty close to our top dead center again. We're looking for that little dot. It's pretty hard to see. I should have marked it. It's going to be coming up soon. Should be coming up here. There it is. See that little tiny dot right there in the center? That's what we're looking for. And we're going to basically, we're going to align it pretty much with, right about, I'm kind of at an angle trying to let you guys see. It's somewhere right in there. That's going to be pretty close to top dead center. So now what we do is we put our timing pin back in and see if it goes all the way in. And it's a little bit shy. Should go all the way in. I gotta put the camera down. I gotta wiggle this back and forth to find the exact spot. Alright, I'm going to try to hold this camera and try to do this. I need both hands, but I'm going to try to work this out. But you'll see as I turn it, I can kind of press it in, and I know this will verify that if this goes all the way in, you're going to hear it, then it will be top dead center. So hang on with me. And see, hear that bottomed out, and we can verify by looking underneath there. And see, and there's our dot. It's lined right up at the end of that thing. So now we are a top dead center for number 6. So let's go look up there. Alright, so now we've looked up here. Now our valves are compressed in the front. We don't have any play anymore. And our valves back here, we have play. These are released now. I have these all the way released because I was putting them on there, they were catching. But you can see they have play now. So now we're going to go back through and we're going to do this one exhaust. We're going to do a number 3 intake. We're going to do a number 4 exhaust. Number 5 intake. Those are tight. Should not be tight. And then we're going to be doing number 6 intake and number 6 exhaust. So I'm just going to go through. You guys see me do this before. I'm just going to go through and do them. Adjust them, torque them, be good to go. So there we go, guys. We got all the valves all adjusted. You can see they're all marked, that they've been torqued and everything else. All the intake exhaust valves have all been adjusted. We are good to go now. So now we got to do the exhaust, the Jake brakes, the exhaust brakes, Jake brakes, whatever we want to call them. And those are located right here. And the point is right inside here that you measure it. And they're pretty simple. You have to go in the firing order of the engine. And this one is a 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. So that's the firing of this engine. So 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, and then 4. So basically what you do is you turn the engine, you bar the engine over, and there is a lobe that is on the intake camshaft. And it's got a lobe, it's oblong. And what's going to happen as you turn the engine over, it's going to depress this valve right here. And what you need to do is get top dead center of that lobe. So as the lobe is coming up and over, you need to be perfectly at the top of that. And when you're at that point, that's where you adjust your valve, your engine valve lash right here. And it's actually printed right here on the engine, and it's 4.6 millimeters. I do not have a 4.6 millimeter feeler gauge. You can get them, I just don't have one. So what I've done is I've actually taken all my feeler gauges, stacked them up, and I put my mic on here and measured it, and actually this right here, this pile of these comes out to 4.6. So it'll be the same exact thing. And they'll sit right in here. You take your 6mm, loosen your 17mm nut, boom, boom, get it, adjusted. And once it's adjusted, torque it, then move down, it'll be number 5. Then you do number 5, you turn it over until that lobe is at the top dead center. Adjust that one, move it to 3, 6, 2, 4. So pretty simple. And we'll get these adjusted, and then we'll be dropping the wiring harness in here for all the injectors and everything. Dropping that back in, and then I can put the cover back on, and then I'll lube everything up with oil, get everything all drenched with oil up in here for that first initial fire up. Make sure it's got good oil for lubrication, and pop the cover back on here, and then it start going from there. All right, now I gotta turn this music off. Alright, can't play too much music. YouTube gets on me about that stuff. Alright, oh, I got a bunch of text messages. Alright, that little dilemma is over. So, I guess my boss heard me talking about how to adjust the Jake brakes and didn't, he said I wasn't explaining it the best, so I thought I would show it better, I guess. So, like most things, I do things around here by myself. And it's actually going to work out pretty good because I'm using my camera. And I can connect to my phone. And then I can see the image on my phone. So I'm going to use my phone to actually see this. Now I need to zoom in. Battery. Okay, man. Keep zooming, keep zooming. I need to see the... Come on. There we go. Okay, so what we're doing is we have a dial indicator set up, and on the cam, on the intake cam, there's a lobe down there. The lobe is, it's got... If anybody knows what a camshaft is, you know what I'm talking about. It's an irregular shape to it. As the cam turns, it pushes up and down on rollers, and that's what makes the rockers go up and down. Well, what I got to do is I got to get the intake cam. I have to get it at top dead center. So you have to rotate that till the lobe is very at the top, till this is going all the way down, and then from that point, then it'll cross over, and then this rocker will start to come back up again. And you can use a dial indicator like this. It's really helpful to have somebody down below and have it barring the engine over, and you can just be up here and go, oh, right there, stop, because as soon as that crosses over that top dead center, the needle will start to drop. It'll go back and forth. And so it's a lot nicer to have somebody else, but through technology, I got this camera all set up. So what we're going to do, because it's going to go down as the lobe comes up. There we go. So we'll set that down like that, because that rocker is going to keep going down as that lobe is coming higher and higher. And then when it crests, then you'll see this needle go over. And you always want to make sure that you turn over the engine in the natural aspirated state, the natural revolution of the engine. So I'm going to go down below with my little phone and see if I can get this taken care of. Might be a little bit hard to hear me, I'll try to talk louder. See the dial move? Okay, see now, see I just pressed it. See now, it just went past top dead center. Okay, so now it's going back the other way. My problem is that I have a bit of a delay between my phone and my camera. I just do a little bit of a turn and I can see it. So that's it right there. So if I look at it, yep, I'm right up the top, right up there. So the lobe has gone all the way up to the top, to the apex of it. It's top dead center. Okay. So now, it's just like when we adjusted the valves. First thing we do is, well, we could actually just check it too. So just a little bit loose. Goes in there just a little too free. So we're gonna adjust it a little bit. And this is something that you do, they call it, you know, like getting an overhead or something. You get your valves adjusted, like for a couple 100,000 miles, you usually get adjusted. The reason why is the cams, all the bushings, they wear a little bit, you get a little bit extra play in there. And they will get worn just a little bit. So then it gets out of adjustment. Sometimes you get like a little knocking noise or something, a little ting-ting noise. We're going to put our feeler gauges in there. Like I said, they sell an actual feeler gauge for this. I like that right there. But Boss don't have that, so I just stacked up a bunch of feeler gauges, measure with my mic. Alright, let's see how that is. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, so then we're going to go back and torque. Back to 37 foot-pounds. And there we go. That one is done. I got to get my paint marker. And we'll just put a little paint mark on there. I know that one's done. And I'll move on to the next. And I just keep going in the natural rotation of the engine and working my way. I'm going down the firing order of the engine. And so now I'll go through all those and finish this up, and this will be done. Well, there we go, guys. We got them all done. All done. Once again, firing order on one of these engines is 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. And you can see you got all the red marks. Wherever there's a red mark, I mean, you can use whatever color you want to. But wherever I've adjusted it, and after I've torqued it, then I put a red mark. And all it is just so I can look back at it like, oh, yep, it's all done. It's not to prove a point or nothing that somebody else looks at, oh, it's marked, so it must have been done right. It's not that or nothing. It's just for my piece of sake that, yes, everything has been torqued. I mean, so it's all good to go. So now all I got to do is drop the wire harness in and run that out, and then pour fresh oil all over everything in here to give it a good coating so that when it fires up it has fresh oil to run on until the oil pressure runs up, and then we'll be good to go. And I can drop the valve cover on and then start piecing together all the outside parts of this engine and fire this puppy up. So I hope everyone out there is having themselves a great day, great night as they watch this here video. And if you're not, well, adjust some valves, your day will be better. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.